Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the f*** up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juice pumping, boys.
Good morning, everyone. This is Saturday Mornings with Crunch Time Sports. I'm your host, Caleb Czarnik. I'm here with Flannel Sam. Michael Gentry will be joining us shortly. Flannel Sam, no show last week. I'm disappointed we weren't able to do it. How you been doing, man? I mean, it's been 2 weeks since we've talked. A lot has happened. How we doing?
You know, I've been great, but this is just a great, wonderful morning. It's mornings like this where I'm so grateful that the great Dr. James Naismith invented that wonderful sport called basketball. What a morning to be alive. I don't know if I'll necessarily feel this way at certain other mornings, but today, God, don't you just love basketball in all forms? It's a beautiful sport.
It's a beautiful game, especially when your team is winning, Flannel Sam. And, you know, you're a Michigan guy. They come out with a big win last night at the Breslin Center against Michigan State. It honestly, this matchup between them felt like it was worth more. Both teams in the top 10, in the top 25, both one of the best teams in the country. I think both of those teams have a chance to win a national championship. Yeah, you got to be feeling good, Flannel. I mean, that is a huge win for you Wolverines.
Yeah, I'm feeling on cloud nine right now still. That was huge. It was Michigan's first win at the Breslin Center since 2018, a double-digit win at Breslin. I mean, my fever dreams couldn't have even dreamed that would happen. And I get it. Michigan State did make a very impressive comeback in the second half, and Michigan tried their best early on in the second half with the turnovers, with the lack of three-point shooting to piss this one away. But at the end of the day, Michigan showed the right mental and intestinal fortitude to withstand that run and be able to go on a run of their own to really close that game out. And now Michigan has put themselves in the driver's seat to win the Big Ten, get a number one seed, maybe get a number one ranking if they get some help from Duke or Arizona. It was a great win because Michigan State had really dominated this rivalry recently for those purposes, but also just for the rest of the season. I think unless Michigan goes on a stretch where they just play really bad basketball, I think at this point, a number one seed is a mortal lock. Maybe that's a little bit too soon to say something like that, but I love the way that this team competed, and God, it's a great day to be a Michigan basketball fan.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, I agree. I think they're. It's hard to say. I mean, I'll guess to say, like you said, I think it's a lock that they're going to be a number one seed in this tournament. I mean, when they're not turning the ball over, they're a top 3 team in the country. Honestly, I think them and Arizona are the 2 best teams in the country. But I want to ask Mike this too. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it. I asked Booner last night. How does the rivalry and kind of how you feel about it change? Not necessarily change, but the difference between football and basketball for Michigan State. Like, is the intensity still as high as it is for football, if that makes sense, for basketball? Like, do you still feel the same, like, burn in your chest and, like, the nervousness before the game starts?
Oh, yeah. I to be honest, I hate Michigan State more than Ohio State. And Michigan State is Michigan's number one rival in basketball, no question about it. And unfortunately, for the most part during my lifetime, Michigan State has had the upper hand. There were a couple of moments where Michigan was the better program and they were able to get some wins in this rivalry, but it felt so great for me this year for Michigan to win this one because, and I think even Michigan State fans would admit this year, Michigan is just better. I don't think that's even debatable at this point. Yeah, it's impressive what Michigan State's been able to do with a not as talented roster, more recruit and develop with guys like Jeremy Fears and Jackson Kohler, et cetera, et cetera. But Michigan's got the NBA talent. When you look at the 2026 NBA draft, you might see 3 Michigan guys in the first round, Yaxel Lendeborg, Morez Johnson Jr., and Adai Mara, and you won't see a single Spartan maybe even drafted. And that's not trying to be disrespectful. It's just this year, Michigan is just better. They're more talented, they're deeper, and the big dogs really showed up last night. Yaxel Landenborg, I think he had his best game as a Wolverine. 26 points, 12 rebounds, came up absolutely huge, was the best player on the floor. Morez Johnson Jr., after a little bit of a slow first half, turned it on in the second half, had a couple of big finishes at the rim when they really needed him. 4 of 4 from the free throw line. Adai Mara didn't have his best offensive night, but he had 3 blocks in 21 minutes, was that force protecting the rim, being 7'3". That's just the type of size that you can't teach. And then besides even the NBA guys, the guy that really, to me, was the game MVP was one Mr. Elliot Cadeau. Because as I mentioned early, I was feeling on cloud 9 in the first half. But in the second half, Michigan State went on a big run, eventually even took the lead. And Michigan needed a point guard to stabilize things, run some offense, and get Michigan back flowing. And at the time, the score was 62-61 Michigan. You had an Elliot Cadeau kind of turnaround pivot 10-foot floater. When it was 64-63 Michigan, he had a pick and roll assist for a Morez Johnson Jr. dunk. When it was 66-63, Elliot Cadeau hit a big 3. And after a dribble drive by Yax gave Michigan a 71-65 lead, Elliot Cadeau, to really put the game on ice, had an assist in the paint to Morez Johnson Jr. to give Michigan an 8-point lead, and that was pretty much all she wrote. Elliot Cadeau came up absolutely huge down the stretch in this game in the clutch and was such a difference maker. And if Elliot Cadeau is playing the way that he's playing, that might be the key to Michigan maybe winning that national championship, because they need good guard play. And last night, Elliot Cadeau gave you the best game of his life, quite frankly. Definitely in a Michigan uniform. I would even go as far to guess that he never had a game this good, even when he was at North Carolina.
Yeah, I don't catch a ton of Michigan basketball. From what I hear a lot of Yaxel. I hear he's a fantastic player. He showed it last night. He's a great player. A player that I was really impressed watching last night. I know he's a junior, so he doesn't have that much more time to develop, but I really like Mara, the big center, 7'3" center. I remember seeing highlights of him, especially in the offseason when they were showing like videos of Michigan's practices. I think when you see those big, tall, skinny centers in college, a lot of the time they struggle to know how to use their body. And I think Mara, last night at least, I know Michigan State has some great bigs, but I think he impressed me last night. But yeah, that's a great win for Michigan. Flannel, let me ask you this, because we got into it last night a little bit on the late night show. We had Gus Johnson on the call. How do you feel about Gus Johnson? Do you like him? Like when you're watching like Big Ten games, football, are you a fan of Gus Johnson?
I wouldn't say I'm a fan. I think that he's lost his fastball. I think at one time he was an electric announcer. I think at one time his calls and his excitement really augmented the action. But right now, he's more of a nuisance than anything. He doesn't seem to know the moment as well as he should. He sometimes gets too excited when he shouldn't, is almost comatose when a big moment happens. And I get it. A lot of that's anecdotal from just what I hear, but I just think Gus Johnson was once an electric announcer and is now past his prime.
Flannel, thank you so much for saying this, because Booner last night was calling me a hater for saying I'm not the best. I mean, Gus Johnson, yes. And in years past, he was the man. But now, dude, I'm watching these games and I'm like, what is this guy even saying? Why is he yelling right now? Do you remember the call he made Penn State, Indiana, when Indiana scored that last second touchdown this year? That Gus Johnson call was legitimately one of the worst calls I've ever heard. Look, he's a legend. Gus Johnson is a legend, but I think you're right. He's lost his fastball. I wish that game was like, I get it, Friday Night Hoops, but like, of course, Fox had to get that game. I wish it was like a Sunday game, CBS, something like that, but I don't know. It was a good basketball game. Let's see what we got here in the chat. Xavier D, good morning. Good to see you. Steve-O baby. Caleb, do the Pistons have any Spartan players or Michigan players? Yeah, Duncan Robinson from Michigan, Karis LeVert from Michigan. We got any Sparties on the Pistons?
I don't think so, unless if I'm missing somebody obvious, but
Yeah,
I think you've heard it.
Yeah, I don't think we did, but I don't think they do. But they did play a Sparty last night. Draymond Green and the Golden State Warriors. The Pistons went there for a to kind of I think they're wrapping up their West Coast trip, or maybe they're in the West Coast tomorrow against Sacramento. I don't know if I think that game's at home, but big win last night in Golden State. We were talking before the show. I had this big thing planned where I really wanted to dog on this team after the way they played in Phoenix, but the way they bounced back in Golden State last night really impressed me. They broke their team high this year in points in the first quarter, which was huge. They got out to a big lead, lost it a little bit at the end, but came out with a big win. I think wins like that are extremely important. I don't think this team has lost 3 in a row all year. I think they've only lost 2 in a row, maybe twice. And coming off a terrible performance in Phoenix and being able to beat Golden State is a big win. Big game out of Jalen Duren, double-double. Big game out of Cade Cunningham. We saw Duncan Robinson catch fire again, which is extremely important for your offense. Flannel, I know it was a late one last night, 10 o'clock game, but what'd you like out of that Pistons game yesterday?
Oh, I was definitely up because I was still on my Michigan high, but then the Michigan high turned into a bit of a Pistons high, and I understand that regular season NBA games aren't as impactful as college basketball rivalry games between 2 top 10 teams, but I was 100% dialed in. I mean, you covered it. Cade Cunningham had a great game. Jalen Duren, Duncan Robinson, 5 of 10 from behind the arc. Off the bench, you had Isaiah Stewart and Dennis Jenkins give the Pistons some really nice minutes offensively, especially. One of the Pistons' most impressive offensive performances of the season, coming on the heels of maybe their most disgusting game of the season at Phoenix. But this was one of those games where, as a Pistons fan, I really wanted and needed to see it, because we have discussions about this team. There's not a single Pistons fan that doesn't love what they've done, being the number 1 seed in the East right now. I think they have a 5.5 game lead over both the Celtics and the Knicks. That is absolutely incredible. But we see what could potentially be some things that could hold them back come playoff time. So I know that this isn't the playoffs and this doesn't necessarily transfer the playoffs, but going to Golden State, a game where Steph Curry was playing, getting a win like that over a team that will be in the playoffs on the West Coast, very, very impressive.
Yeah. A couple of those things you bring up, that things they might need to clean up. We'll get to that in a second. But before that, I'm going to let our good friend and our co-host, Michael Gentry, talk his shit about the Michigan win last night. Mr. Gentry, it's fantastic to see you, my friend. Gentlemen. I mean, Gentry, I 2 Wolverines with me right now. You guys are definitely on a high. Huge win. Flannel got to talk his shit. Gentry, how do you feel about that Michigan Wolverine win on Tom Izzo's birthday last night?
Yeah, I mean, hey, that makes it all the better, but it just felt good, obviously, to go into Breslin, get a win. Great first half, kind of let down in the second half, but being able to finish that game, that's everything. And like Flannel said, some players showed up. E-Dot was huge that game, so it was a good dub. Now we got to go do it back at our place.
Yeah. Would you guys be okay with the split if they lost the next one?
No, I would not. This, as I said before, and Mike, I'll let you go because I get it. 1-1 against Michigan State isn't the worst thing in the world, but Michigan is just better this year. They're more talented. They're deeper. I even think, and a lot of people might not like this, I'll take 49-year-old Dusty May over 71-year-old Tom Izzo any day of the week. And I'm not saying that Tom Izzo isn't above Dusty May all time, obviously, but right. I'll tell you what, man, as much as it's impressive what Michigan State has been able to do with a more homegrown and developed roster, they got to get into the 21st century a little bit more and use the transfer portal, because Michigan probably had the best transfer portal offseason of any team in the country. And when it comes to Michigan State, I mean, you got Divine Ugachukwu, who's all right. Trey Fort's terrible. Caleb Glenn's obviously hurt, which he would have helped the team. But that's the reason why Michigan was able to have a much more talented roster. And as I said, in the 2026 draft, you will see 3 Wolverines in the first round. You will not see a single Spartan, whether you like it or not. I know somebody in the chat was belly aching over Jeremy Fears. He's like 5'10". Respect to how well he played last night, but
well.
He's not an NBA point guard. Neither was Cassius Winston, by the way. That's okay. It just is what it is.
Yeah. No, and another thing about that game, Michigan State shot horribly from 3, and I like not even hating on them. It seems like that's like a common reoccurrence. Obviously, Jace Richardson last year kind of helped them out in that aspect a little bit, but I feel like they always just need some shooters, and Michigan's going to need to obviously play a little bit better, because even if we're playing at the Chrysler, I don't expect them to shoot, make 1 3-pointer through 3/4 of the game. So, I mean, that was a tough look as far as Michigan State shooting go. But as far as the split, I'm with Flannel here. Even though when next time we play Michigan State, we kind of have a gauntlet of games, I still think we are far and ahead better than Michigan State this year, and I would be disappointed with the split.
Yeah.
Did Tom Izzo get a tech at the end of that game? Did he flip out and get a tech? Tom Izzo? Did he flip out, took a tech?
Yes.
Oh, typical Izzo.
Yeah, I'm not a fan, as everybody knows. I don't bow to the altar of Tom Izzo like even some of my fellow Michigan fans do. And I'm not saying that I don't respect him. He's obviously one of the greatest Big Ten coaches of all time. He's better than anybody that Michigan has ever had. But I also think as a national coach, he's a little bit overrated. He's treated like he's Coach K. He's not Coach K. That's all I'm gonna say.
How many? One title?
Yeah.
Again, Michigan hasn't had one in that same time period, and I get that. But his last name has been synonymous with the month of March. It should be January, February Krzyzewski, not January, February Izzo.
The reason I ask one title is because, look, I have no sword in this fight, but I will say you are correct. Izzo does get, again, legend, but he gets talked about like he is like, I mean, you need more. I think he's got to get that second title. I think he's got to get that second title, and I don't know if it's going to come this year. We talked about Arizona's really damn good, and so is Michigan.
It might not come at all, just like in the new age of college basketball and NIL and how he builds his team, which I guess I respect that. He doesn't really, he has guys that stay with his team for years and whatnot. It's not one and dones. He's not just randomly getting guys in the portal. So who knows? I don't know if he'll actually get that last one.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. When I say what I said about Michigan State and how Michigan is better, I still think Michigan State could be a threat. I think they could go into the tournament as a 2 seed, be potentially very, very dangerous, especially if Jeremy Fears Jr. is playing like he did last night. But talent eventually has to overtake, and I just don't think Michigan State is talented enough. I can say that while also respecting, Jeremy Fears has developed. Jackson Kohler's developed. Carson Cooper's developed. Cohen Carr's a bum. I hate Cohen Carr so much. I hate Cohen Carr so much. Let me get my shit off for a second.
He's going to win a couple dunk contests, though, Flannel.
All MSU fans just blow their wad over Cohen Carr, like, Cohen Carr. I have a nickname for him. He's Dr. Duncanstein. And I respect that. He's a great dunker, but he's not a great basketball player. There's a reason why he's the athlete that he is. But on the NBA draft big board for 2026 on one of those sites, I forgot which one it is, they've got him ranked as the 68th best prospect because he's not a great basketball player. He's just a great athlete whose athleticism allows for him to finish at the rim really nicely and play effective defense. But I'm not a Cohen Carr fan. I've got a lot more respect for Fears and Kohler than I do for Cohen Carr. But I'm sure Michigan State fans won't like that. But hey, Michigan's got bragging rights, at least for now.
Yeah, very true. Well, I'm happy for you guys. Genuinely. I'm genuinely happy for you guys. You guys got a little more, I could tell, a little more pep in your step this morning. I love it. I'm happy for you guys. Happy for Booner, another Michigan guy.
To be fair, it would be a sad day, and it would be a bad morning if they lost that game last night.
Yeah,
100%.
Totally different vibe.
Oh,
yeah.
especially if they blew it in that fashion.
Oh my God. I was
That game got close for a second. Was it tied at one point when they were up
they had
16?
the lead, dude.
Yeah, they had it now.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Oh. Hey, but credit to Michigan for overcoming all of that, because that takes some guts and some mettle to do that at Breslin after State had that big comeback. And Elliot Cadeau and Yaxel Lendeborg just really put their stamp on that rivalry last night. And hell, Morez Johnson Jr. was big in the second half as well.
Yes, he was. He was.
The big dogs were big dogging.
Yeah. Gentry, kind of to your point, to transition a little bit, you want to talk about if a team lost a game, this would be a sad morning. Detroit Pistons, we talked about it. Big win last night in Golden State after a horrific, honestly, past 2 games, I want to say. They should have lost in Denver, and they played horrific in Phoenix. That was by far the worst loss of the year. That Golden State game, yes, they played fantastic offensively. I brought it up. They scored the most points they have all year in the first quarter, got up to a big lead, lost a little bit, but ended up coming up with the win. That doesn't change, and I don't know about you guys. That doesn't change the fact that I think this team lacks offense. Just kind of point blank, period. We saw it in the Phoenix game where, you were playing decent defense, but Phoenix just caught fire and you couldn't catch up with them. When Brooks scored 40 points, you had no one on your side of the basketball outside of Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren, who for some reason JB Bickerstaff took out late in the game, that could put the ball in the hoop. I said this last night and I tweeted it out. And in a sec here, I'm going to give you guys 4 mock trades that I built up that I had a lot of fun doing. I actually want to do this again. I had tons of fun doing this. I use SPOTrack. So they're all, contract, all the money's where it needs to be and everything. Because I'm not smart enough just to do that in my head. I had to use a mock trade simulator. But
you're very smart, Caleb. Don't say that about yourself.
Thank you, Gentry. Trajan Langdon needs to change the narrative around Detroit sports that the trade deadline doesn't mean anything, because this is an extremely important trade deadline for the Detroit Pistons. Yes, what this team does defensively is they're the second best defensive team in all of basketball. But like I said, it happened in Phoenix, when these teams catch fire and you can't catch up with them, what are you going to do? When you can't put the ball in the hoop, you're not going to win a lot, and you're not going to win a lot of games. And look, postseason basketball is different. I said this last night. You could win playing really hard and playing really good defense and not playing the greatest offense in the regular season. But in the postseason, when every team's defense elevates, I don't know what this team looks like in a 7-game Eastern Conference Finals against Cleveland or Boston. Trajan needs to make a move. He needs to make a move. And I have a couple mock trades here with names that I think people are going to be uncomfortable, moving on from. We'll get to that in a second. But has your guys' opinion changed since the last time we talked about this trade deadline, or is it still you got to go get someone to help Cade Cunningham on the offensive side of the floor?
Oh, yeah, you definitely do. And I think kind of you more and see it with the shooting and the offense when if Duncan Robinson can't shoot the ball or if he's having a bad game, the Pistons always look awful offensively, spacing-wise, everything. So nothing's changed in my opinion. What about you, Flannel?
No, nothing's changed. And I think we can say this while also appreciating the Pistons have some aspects of this team that are championship caliber. They've got a top 10 player in Cade Cunningham, a superstar point guard. They have the second best defensive rating in the NBA. The only team that has a better combination of point guard and defense is Oklahoma City. And we know that they're championship caliber because they won last year. But like we all say, this team does have some flaws, this Pistons team. They're bottom 10 in the NBA in 3-point percentage. They're bottom 5 in attempts, which means 3-pointers don't really impact their game as much as other teams. And you can get away with that in the regular season, but in the playoffs, I like for them to have another shooter and to shoot the ball better. And the Pistons just don't have that secondary ball handler, perimeter scorer, shot creator for himself or others that's really consistent. I mean, all you have to do, and we watch the games, but all you have to do is just really even look at the Pistons stats this year. When you look at the Pistons leading scorers, you got Cade, you've got Duren, Tobias, Duncan, Asar, Stu, Ron Holland. Those aren't those type of guys. Some of them can be that way in short spurts, but still,
Mhm.
you got Ivy at 8.2 per game. He hasn't really lived up to that, to like being that secondary player. LeVert at 7.9, Dennis at 7.6 in terms of points per game. And in terms of assists per game, Cade leads the team with 9.7, and I believe the NBA, so shout out to him. Dennis Jenkins is second on the team at 3.4. Dennis Jenkins has been the Pistons' most consistent and most reliable secondary ball handler, shot creator, scorer. And shout out to Dennis Jenkins. He has been really, really good this year and has came up big in situations where they needed him when Cade was out. But the Pistons still need another guy. And I know, Caleb, you have some ideas. I'm sure some of them are huge swings. Some of them are a little bit more in the margins. But at the end of the day, if Trajan Langdon stands pat at the trade deadline, that's doing this team a disservice.
Yeah, and it's not, and I think you bring up, it's not just 3-point shooting I've been harping on. It's scoring in general. You need a guy to be able to put the ball on the floor and create for himself, but that's not to say 3-point shooting is not super important. Look at the past 5 NBA champions. Last year, OKC was the NBA champion. They were 6th in 3-point shooting. Boston the year before that was 2nd in 3-point shooting. Denver was 4th the year before that. The Milwaukee Bucks, who weren't really known as a 3-point shooting team, they were 5th in the NBA in 3-point shooting. And obviously Golden State the year before that, we know what they do beyond the arc. Yeah, it's scoring and 3-point shooting. That's what you need. Because look at these games where, like, and I'm gonna go back to the game in Phoenix. I'm gonna go back to the end of the game in Denver. Look what happens when they can't break a zone. Their bad offense at times, when they're not making shots, their bad offense turns into bad defense at times when they're always having to run the floor because they're not running a half-court defense. When they're, these guys are getting tired, when they're getting lost defensively. Sometimes their bad offense turns into bad defense, and it's frustrating. And look, guys, that Phoenix game was only their 12th loss of the year. So it's not, the sky's not falling. Obviously, they got a big win last night. But when there is obvious needs for a team, hey, Brad Holmes and Scott Harris, are you listening? When there's obvious needs for a team and there's a trade deadline approaching and you have the tools to go make a trade to make your team better, go do it. Because you can go make a move in next week or whatever, whenever the trade deadline is, you can go make a move and you are far and above the favorite in the Eastern Conference because there's one glaring need, and that is scoring. And I have 4 mock trades here for you guys, and all of these trades really bring you in a score. I'm going to start with the smallest one here. I kind of just want to hear a yes or no from you guys. Would you do this? Some of them bigger moves than the other ones. I would say one of them is pretty unrealistic, but I had to have this one in here.
Okay.
We're gonna start with a quick and easy. Trajan Langdon calls up, I believe it's still Vlade Divac over there in Sacramento. Wow, he made some fucking abysmal trades. So if we can try to get, if Trajan Langdon can get Vlade Divac on the phone, I think we're in business here. So this is a trade between the Pistons and the Kings. The Pistons would give up Karis LeVert, who's been out for a while with a sickness and wasn't playing good basketball before that, and Jaden Ivey. And they just bring back Malik Monk. Would you guys be willing to make this trade?
I would say yes, but it obviously wouldn't be my first option. I still think I'm a little hesitant on it just because it's the 2-for-1. And even if it's Jaden Ivey, who obviously I'm not too high on, and LeVert, who hasn't been great by any means, I still feel like you could package those two in a different trade and probably get more than that return.
You know what? I would, because I believe Malik Monk is under contract this year and next year and has a player option. And also, Malik Monk, very quietly, because it's over in Sacramento, which is for the most part NBA purgatory, he's shooting the lights out from behind the arc. Mm-hmm. And I'm not, kind of like you, Mike, I'm not very high on Jaden Ivey either. So I would 100% make that trade. And I think that it would make the Pistons better. And like you said, there's levels to this, but yeah, I would do that trade.
I mean, you're virtually getting nothing out of Karis LeVert game to game. It's not consistent.
You're getting nothing out of
Jaden Ivey. Just looks so checked out. So like you kind of have to factor that in. But like I said, I feel like if you're going to package those two, you could probably get something else. But I mean, I would still do it.
I mean, I can maybe try to go back and Spotrac, do this again, and try to maybe bring in Dennis Schroeder as well. I think that'd be really interesting. I mean, I would love to have Dennis Schroeder back. If we could get a trade with Malik Monk and Dennis Schroeder, I'd be beyond happy. Dennis Schroeder did some really good things for this basketball team last year, and he's basically essentially what this team needs. Unreal. Second one here, this one, it's a name that we've talked about basically for the past month for the Detroit Pistons. It's a trade between the Pistons and the Nets. It is the Pistons would send Tobias Harris, Jaden Ivey, a 2026 first-round pick, a 2027 second-round pick, and a 2031 second-round pick that I believe belongs to Dallas for Michael Porter Jr. Would you guys make this move?
Yeah. Yes. I would do it. And you, Caleb, Flannel, you're probably learning I am a Tobias guy, so it sucks to see him go. But at this point in time, you just have to do it because he's not really healthy enough to kind of be that guy in playoffs, I don't think. And what Michael Porter has done this year has just been unreal. I mean, he just dropped like 40 on the Nuggets the other day too. So he's just been unreal, and he's the perfect fit for the Pistons. So absolutely.
Yeah, no, I would 100% do this trade because you're not really losing a whole lot. Tobias Harris is expiring. Jaden Ivey, to me, is the most expendable member of the Pistons core, which I don't even think Jaden Ivey is a part of anymore. Mm-hmm. Draft picks, I'm not too concerned about. And with Michael Porter Jr., I understand that you risk losing him after the 2026-27 season. He's under contract this year and next year. But, man, the Pistons have themselves set up with a great chance to win the title within the next couple of years. And maybe you resign him. It's pretty low risk because you're not giving up a whole lot. And you're bringing in a guy who this year is averaging like 26 and 7 on 48, 40, 85 shooting splits. And in a previous basketball life was a very valuable contributor to an NBA championship team. He's exactly what Cade Cunningham needs as that, 6'10" perimeter wing player. And he can also create a little bit, 3 assists per game. So yeah, absolutely. Make that trade in a heartbeat.
I agree. Look, this one I got in my bag for. This one's a big one. 3-team deal. Gentry, I bet you didn't think I had a 3-team deal in my bag.
I know I did. I had confidence. You didn't even need a spot track for it.
No, I could just do all the salary
money all in your head.
I could just do it all in my head. Maybe a calculator from time to time, but
I was actually going to ask Trajan if he needs your help this deadline with anything.
He already reached out. Okay. I'm busy for the next couple weeks, but he already reached out to ask if I could help, just with the money stuff, because I'm a numbers guy. But this is a hog. This is Pistons, Heat, Pelicans 3-team trade. I just needed to add Miami in there to help financially with this deal and to help the Pistons dump a couple players because they're getting a couple players in this trade. So,
hell yeah,
the Pistons receive Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, Jose Alvarado, and Miami's second-round pick this year. The Pelicans would receive Tobias Harris, Jaden Ivey, Simone Fontecchio, former Piston, now on the Miami Heat, a 2026 first-round pick from the Pistons, a 2028 first-round pick swap from the Pistons, and a 2027 second-round pick from the Pistons. And the Heat would receive Marcus Sasser in this deal. So essentially what the Pistons would be giving out, they'd be giving out Tobias Harris, Jaden Ivey, a first, a pick swap, and a second, and Marcus Sasser for Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, Jose Alvarado, and Miami's second-round pick.
And Miami just gets Marcus Sasser.
All they get is so they basically trade Fontecchio and a second-round pick for Sasser.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, hell yeah, I'm doing it. There's not much. Dude, you get those 3 guys. That's all you need. Herb Jones, Trey Murphy's been unreal. His spacing on the Pistons would be perfect. And Jose Alvarado, you kind of get that nitty-gritty kind of guy. I mean, he would fit right in with this team. That would be fantastic. That would be like best case scenario in my opinion.
Yeah, Trey Murphy, in my opinion, is low-key the number 1 trade prospect for the Pistons, at least in Flannel Sam's hierarchy, because he's cheap. His AAV is $28 million. He's under contract this year and the next 3 seasons. He's basically kind of like 96% of Michael Porter Jr., younger. like 6'8", still great shooter, 20 points per game, giving you close to 50, 40, 90, although not quite. Yeah, 100%. And with Herb Jones's defense and Jose Alvarado's ball handling and kind of point guard play, absolutely. I would lock the Pistons in to the finals if the Pistons made this trade. For real,
Yeah.
I would.
Yes, I agree. Jeff said it last night. I think there is an argument to be made that this Pistons team already has like 2 Herb Joneses. But what's another one? What's another, really good perimeter defender that could hit a 3 from time to time?
Who are the other 2 Herb Joneses?
I can't even say Asar Thompson. Maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say because he can't shoot.
You're right, Mike. That's an issue.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny, Mike, is me and Flannel kind of talked about it, is like every time I'm ready to get on the Asar Thompson train with you, he plays a phenomenal game on Friday night. Every single time. Mike, I was ready to come on the show this morning and say, Mike, I'm with you. This guy does nothing offensively. Like what sometimes he even doesn't look that great on defense. He gets in foul trouble. Mike, he played so fucking good last night.
Yes.
Like defensively, at least he looks so good. Still can't shoot the 3 ball. How? It just blows. Andre Drummond is shooting 3s now. Asar Thompson, dude, you're airballing 3 still. Please, just this offseason, JB Bickerstaff, sit down with Asar Thompson and say, dude, just please, just take your whole offseason with Fred Vincent and just learn how to shoot the 3. Because do you know what our offense looks like? If Asar Thompson can stretch the floor, we might be unstoppable. We might, like, if he could hit those corner 3s, we'd be chilling. But I mean, come on, Asar, please.
He did play very well last night too. But like going back to the Suns game, we have Dylan Brooks giving us 40, and Asar's playing 25 minutes, and half the time he's not even guarding the main scorer on the floors.
Why is that the case, Mike? I thought that was bizarre. What do you got? I mean, if I'm Brooks and I'm running down the floor and I see Duncan Robinson checking me on the perimeter, yeah, I'm going to attack. When I see Tobias Harris when he's already been out there for 9 minutes, yeah, I'm going to attack Tobias Harris. Why is Asar Thompson not making that switch on Brooks? Why is JB Bickerstaff not making that move? Why is Javonte Green not on Brooks?
I've literally said that from the jump, that he half the time he's a great defender, he's a good defender, but he's not even guarding the best player. Like we've seen it like every time we played the Celtics this year, Jaylen Brown's going for 30 plus and Asar is not guarding him. It just, I don't know what it is. It might be JB. I'm not specifically going to put that on Asar, but like what's going on with that? If someone's going off and you have an elite defender like that, why is he playing 25 minutes? He wasn't even in foul trouble that game.
Yeah.
He wasn't in foul trouble against the Celtics multiple times. Like there's just so many examples.
Yeah, and Dylan Brooks, and I'd like to think that JB Bickerstaff doesn't think this way, but I think some people, maybe more casuals, hopefully not JB Bickerstaff, see Dylan Brooks for what he once was. He's playing really, really well offensively this year. He's developed into somebody that you have to account for. That if you're the Pistons, you should put Asar on, or else he'll kick your ass. And he did. Dylan Brooks was the best player on the floor that whole night.
Yeah, I mean, he's a 20-point scorer now, Flannel.
Yeah,
and I know a lot of it is because, like, Booker's been out, Jalen Green, I don't even know if he still plays basketball.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, he iced us out the other night, and let me say it was the most annoying thing ever. Did he go up to JB Bickerstaff after the game and said, "You guys are frauds"? What the fuck is that, man? Chill.
But to your point, though, Caleb, that's just even more why we need shooting, is because when it comes to playoffs, people are going to be attacking Duncan Robinson. We've seen it every year when he was on the Heat and when he's on the floor. So he cannot be your lone shooter and your lone guy giving you spacing. And Asar is going to be having, he's going to need to be out there guarding, the best player in those times, not be in foul trouble, and show some offensive ability too. So.
Yeah, I like this comment too before we get into the last trade. Asar needs to work on his slashing game as well. The amount of times I've seen Asar Thompson fall down, driving to the rim, or like having the ball hit off his calf while he's driving is crazy. So, I mean, and Eamon is a pretty good slasher, his twin brother. So, yeah, if we just need more out of Asar Thompson offensively. But this last trade, this is the one that I needed to do it. I needed to add this player into Spotrac. I just needed to see what a trade looks like. This is between the Detroit Pistons and the Milwaukee Bucks. The Pistons would receive in this deal. Actually, I'll tell you. Okay, the Pistons would receive Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? I mean, it's crazy that he's even getting traded. Former MVP, former Finals MVP, fantastic player. They also bring in his brother Thanasis Antetokounmpo. I think they're a package deal at this point. Thanasis, he's not going to give you anything. He's really not going to give you anything on the floor, but you need to bring him in when you bring in Giannis, and you're also getting Amir Coffey in this deal. The Pistons would give up Tobias Harris, Asar Thompson, Isaiah Stewart, a 2027 first-round pick, a 2028 pick swap, and a 2029 first-round pick for Giannis, Thanasis, and Amir Coffey. Would you guys be willing to cut ties with Tobias Harris, Asar Thompson, Isaiah Stewart, and 3 first-round picks for those guys?
That is a lot, but you are getting Giannis. So, I mean, Giannis next to Cade would be unreal. I mean, but like Chuck just said in the chat, you lose your 2 best defenders, and this is going to sound crazy. But if there's any way we could rework this deal and keep Stu,
nope, we can't rework the deal. This is can't redo it.
I wish I actually didn't say that, because Jeff's probably going to clip that and use it against me forever now. But yeah, that's my deal. But I mean, dude, that's so intriguing. You get Giannis, but like Chuck said, losing your too much defenses, that's going to be key. So I don't know. I think I'm going to say no for now.
All right. I'm going to say yes, but I would give this caveat. And I know, Caleb, you kind of made the rules that I'm not allowed to do this. I would prefer the Pistons to do a deal where there were more picks given up and pick swaps and less players. But even for this deal, man, losing Stu and Asar would hurt. But Giannis Antetokounmpo was one of the greatest players in the history of the game. He's looking to be rejuvenated. He's still playing at MVP level. He's been a defensive player of the year for a crying out loud. He's the type of physical freak and force that we've rarely seen throughout the history of the NBA. Him and Cade would be the best duo in the NBA for sure. I would still do it with the deal that you presented, Caleb. I'd be a little bit more reluctant. But if I were GM Flannel, I would include one with more picks and pick swaps and less players.
Unfortunately, Flannel, your caveat is denied. The deal at hand is the one that's being offered.
Caleb,
yes, Booner. This is a mock trade, and the segment is, would I do it or not? And no, I would not do this trade. I wouldn't. Losing Isaiah Stewart would hurt this team big time defensively, and obviously you're bringing in a defensive player of the year and MVP in Giannis Antetokounmpo. But this is just, I feel like this is just too much. You get 2 years out of Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's finals or bust for those 2 years. Yeah, you'd be the favorite out of the Eastern Conference, but losing Asar Thompson and Isaiah Stewart and 3 first-round picks, I think this is just too much. I'm not on the train where it's like all or nothing for Milwaukee. It has to be reasonable what we give up. Flannel, I agree with you. I wish the person that did these mock trades added more picks instead of a bunch of players. What an idiot who made these mock trades. I mean, come on, F them picks, like they say in the chat. But no, I'm not doing this trade. Guys, I want to get your opinion on this before we move to the Lions. This is something that I said last night. Caleb said Isaiah Stewart was untouchable. He was untouchable, and we bullied him for 10 minutes, and he finally said he wasn't. Okay. Let me rephrase my untouchable statement that I made last night. I personally, at the trade deadline, there are 2 players that are legitimately untouchable. I am hanging up the phone if they bring up these names. That's Cade Cunningham, who might be the second most untouchable player in basketball outside of Victor Wembanyama. And it's Jalen Duren, a 18-point, 11-rebound guy. He's 22 years old. He's going to be a first-time All-Star. I hang up the phone for those guys. Last night, I got a little ahead of myself. I was a little excited. You know how I get. I said Isaiah Stewart was untouchable as well. Let me rephrase that. Isaiah Stewart, if there's tiers where there's untouchable, and then the next tier is I really don't want to get rid of this guy. If there's any fucking way I can get a trade done and Isaiah Stewart is not in it, Isaiah Stewart is the only guy on the team that's in that tier. He is so important what he does for this basketball team defensively. He's probably, guys, and I'm going to say it, I think he's the second best defensive player in basketball. And that's not on some like crazy slappy type stuff. You watch this guy guard on the perimeter. he is elite. And that's against guys like Donovan Mitchell. We saw him shut him down to end a game. He's done it to Jaylen Brown before, closing out a game where they tried to get a switch on Stu. We know what he does in his, in his paint protection. Isaiah Stewart is just a guy I feel incredibly uncomfortable getting rid of. So I guess my question to you guys is, because the only guy I think that would be close on this list is Asar Thompson. Who would you guys feel more comfortable getting rid of? Is it Isaiah Stewart or Asar Thompson?
Asar Thompson.
Asar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's because Asar doesn't bring you much offensively, and
No.
Stu does, dude. He could stretch a floor. And I said it last night. I truly don't think we've seen the best. Jeff and Booner thought we've seen the best out of Isaiah Stewart offensively. I think his touch around the rim can get better. I think he could maybe even shoot it a little bit better from three. I think he has the ability to maybe put it on the floor a little bit. I'm not saying put himself in ISO situations, but I think Isaiah Stewart is only going to get better. And he's close. He's close. He's not untouchable, but he's close to that untouchable range for me for the Pistons. So. This is going to be an interesting couple of weeks for the Pistons trade deadline. I'm excited. Hope you guys like those 4 mock trades. Didn't need any of the websites to help me with the math. Did it all in my head. That's a complete lie. I needed it. And I also used a calculator. So let's talk some lines here, fellas. Officially in the offseason, draft coming up, free agency. A lot of moves to be made for this team, whether, it's the offensive line, it's, the secondary, it's edge, in free agency specifically. We'll get to the draft, in these next coming weeks, but in free agency specifically, what position group do you guys want to see this team attack the most? Flannel, I'll start with you.
Interior O-line. And I don't think there's an excuse to not attack the interior of the O-line, because no matter what the Lions decide to do, whether they decide that Tate Ratledge is the center of the future, or they want to get somebody else, whatever the Lions want to do, they still need more veteran proven players up front on the interior of the O-line. And there are so many options out there available. Let's look at the center position. And I'm not going to go too in depth with this because we got all off season. Tyler Linderbaum's available and a free agent. Connor McGovern is available and a free agent. Ethan Pocic, veteran center from Cleveland, is available in free agency. And so is Cade Mays, an up-and-comer from Carolina, who I think's best ball is ahead of him. And he showed some promise last year, particularly in pass blocking. But even at the guard position, there is just so many guys available, whether it's Isaac Sumalo, formerly of the Steelers, David Edwards, formerly of the Bills, Joel Bitonio, a guy who's a little long in the tooth, but still really good for the Browns, a very injury-prone but good when he plays, Tevin Jenkins, Ed Ingram from the Texans. Those are 9 guys on the interior of the offensive line that I think would be instant upgrades over what they have. We don't know what the Lions want to do at the center position, but even I think Christian Mahogany's a question mark at this point. Power stat when it comes to Christian Mahogany. Last season, 407 pass block snaps. He allowed 6 sacks. That's bad. That's really, really bad. And if you want to keep Jared Goff upright, you're going to need better than that from the interior of the O-line. And just a hint, Isaac Sumalo, David Edwards, Joel Bitonio, Ed Ingram all played more snaps, allowed less sacks. Tevin Jenkins in very limited snaps, allowed 0. So, yeah, there's so many guys available. They're at varying costs. Got to get a free agent interior O-line veteran starter. It is a non-starter. It's a must. If the Lions don't do that, it is a failure of an offseason.
Agreed, Flannel. Agreed. Look, obviously, offensive line has been the number one issue for the Lions. It has been all year. They need to address that. A position I would also like to target, and I think they'll do it in the draft at some point. I think we need to bring in a safety with the uncertainty of, Kirby Joseph and the uncertainty of Brian Branch. There are some safeties available here. And let me say this, the safety position is very important in this Detroit Lions defense. I think that, and obviously they couldn't totally, when they had Brian Branch, they kind of just let him fly around the field. They let him play, he fit the run really well. He was decent in pass coverage, and losing a guy like that really hurt them, and it was tough for them to switch their scheme. But I mean, he's out for a majority of the year next year. So if they want some production from the safety position, you have guys out there. Kyle Duggar from Pittsburgh. He made $14.5 million in his last contract. His market value, according to Spotrac, is $6 million. So hopefully we get him on a deal there. Jalen Thompson from Arizona. Jimmy Ward. Yeah, he's a little bit older, but he's a good player. I think safety is a really important position for the Lions, and they have to address it. It's sad, they have two really good safeties, but they're both hurt, and the safety position is a very important position in this Detroit Lions defense. So outside of offensive line, like you just said, Flannel, safety is a position for me I think this team should really attack.
Let me ask you a question, and don't laugh. I'm being serious.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Thomas Harper could play a big role in this team next year?
I think they want him to. I think they want to try their best. I think they want to try. I think they want him to. Yeah, I think they're going to try their best to have him kind of be the guy there. I mean, him and Maddox weren't awful.
No, they weren't.
But I think, Maddox was pretty good. But yeah, I think they do want Thomas Harper to make an impact on this defense next year and kind of be the guy, so we don't have to pick someone up in free agency. I would prefer him not to be.
Yeah.
But Flannel, I don't think that's that crazy to say. I wouldn't be surprised if snap one of the 2026-2027 NFL season, Thomas Harper's trotting out there with the Detroit Lions defense.
No, and I want to be very clear. I'm not advocating for Thomas Harper. He's the branch replacement or whatnot. That's not at all what I'm saying. I think he played better than a lot of the fan base gives him credit for, and he's cheap. He's under contract. The safety position, I still think the Lions have a lot of hope that it's still going to be Kirby and Branch of the future. I could see Tom, like you said, Caleb, don't be shocked if Thomas Harper is starting safety week 1 of the 2026 season for the Lions.
Mine, I had center too. Obviously, there's so many interior offensive linemen, and I do like safety. And I think you could even make a case for cornerback. There are a few in free agency, like Reek Wool and a few others. But I'm going to go the obvious one, and we've been pushing for this for years and trades, free agency. There is so many edge rushers in this free agency, and we are going to lose AQM probably because we aren't probably going to pay him what other teams would pay him. But there is so many guys out there. There's Jalen Phillips, Khalil Mack, Boye Mafe, Joey Bosa. Go get someone solidified opposite of Hutch, because you are going to use AQM, and he might have overperformed, and that might not have been who he was, whatever the case may be. But there's so many guys out there, and I know we have needs in interior offensive line and whatnot, and we will address some of these throughout the draft. But there is so many dudes out there as far as the edge position goes, and you just got to go get one of them.
This Mike, you're 100% correct. This free agent edge rusher class is deep. I'm looking at it right now. Like, you go down, you could Kayvon Chason, who's on this. I mean, he plays a role on a Super Bowl defense. He's projected $9 million next year, a year. That's a name to look at. I mean, Adafiowe, get former. Am I correct with this? Former Michigan Wolverine David Ajabo. Is he a former Wolverine? He's not very good, but Yetter, Gross Matos. There's a ton of guys. I think you're right, Mike. I mean, you're losing AQM. That's definitely a position of need after this. After this year. I'm very curious to see how. I know the cap space is changing a little bit. They're going to have a little more money to work with. They could still restructure contracts. They could, cut players like, Taylor Decker and these guys. I'm curious to see how aggressive they want to get in free agency rather than just really relying on the draft. Because there are names out there. Flannel, I think the biggest one you bring up is obviously Tyler Lindenbaum. He's number one.
And
another guy, Connor McGovern.
The Bills too. He's good.
McGovern.
Yeah, McGovern.
Yeah, that's another guy. Linderbaum is my number one. If we could find a way to get Tyler Lindenbaum, that totally transforms what your offensive line looks like. You don't need to, and I think you're right. I don't know what the Lions' direction is at center, if they want Tate Ratledge to move there. But I mean, you bring in Linderbaum, you don't have to mess around with that. You keep Ratledge at a guard and you let him progress there. So I don't know. Interesting free agency coming up, guys. Interesting. I'm honestly, more than anything, usually I'm pretty excited because it's almost like for the Lions, you're just adding to an already really good team. This year, I'm a little more nervous for it because you're adding like you have some serious fucking needs on this team that you need to address. So, yeah, I'm excited for it, but nervous.
Even for the people who are victory lapping Al-Qadim Muhammad as like, you said that he didn't go after the edge position, he got 11 sacks. And for to some extent, I respect what AQM did. He's probably going to be gone. So there's got to be a contingency plan because I don't think it would be wise of Brad Holmes to overpay for Al-Qadim Muhammad. If he can get AQM back on a cheap deal, if other teams weren't as impressed as I think they're going to be by a double-digit sack season and AQM is there for the taking, great. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think somebody might give AQM $10 million a year.
Yeah.
If I'm Brad Holmes, I'm not doing that. But you got to do something else then. You have to do something else.
Yeah, you just can't lose them and not bring anybody else in. You're also losing Davenport. You're also losing Pascal. But yeah.
Can't
I mean,
lose never had.
Yeah, you're right. Never. I mean, was he even on the team?
You're Davenport right. And Pascal, quite frankly.
What would you guys do? Immediate reaction. You look at your phone. Notification, Adam Schefter, the Detroit Lions have re-signed Marcus Davenport, 1-year deal. What's your initial reaction? Do you throw your phone across the room as hard as I would?
It's a scheduled tweet.
No, Schefter has that thing ready to go.
But guys, you know this would happen as well. The most annoying slappies in Detroit Lions social media fandom would probably be like, it's the veterans minimum. That's what they did this past year. It doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, it's almost like the principle of it. They wanted Marcus Davenport. I think Brad Holmes wanted Marcus Davenport to be bookend edge rusher 2. And once again, for the third consecutive year, misses the vast majority of the season due to injury. So yeah, if Marcus Davenport's here next year, I will. What's that one meme where the guy's standing out off his balcony and kind of goes like, should I jump?
That would be me as well. Fellas, great show. We got a couple minutes here remaining. Look, Greg Thomas, I've had a couple that I've said these past couple weeks that I rewatched and I'm like, pause. Like I had to hit him with a pause. That was a bad one right here. What I want you guys to do right now in the chat. We got 2 minutes left here. Next week, we want to bring back the Mount Rushmore segment that we did last year. Give us some ideas of what we should do for the Mount Rushmore. Now we got Flannel adding here, so it's going to get even more difficult for these Mount Rushmores. Mike, correct me if I'm wrong here. Mount Rushmore has 4 presidents on it, correct?
4.
Okay, so that'd be a total of 12 picks in these Mount Rushmores. Give us topics that we could do. Really anything. We'll do anything outside of sports.
My topic for today was going to be Mount Rushmore of Jeffs. And obviously, there's no cool Jeff or any Jeff that we know that would be put up there. So we would have to do a deep dive on Jeffs because, 1, awful name. 2, not a lot of cool Jeffs.
No, I don't. I don't know. Flannel, do you know a cool Jeff?
Goldblum, right?
Yeah, you know what?
Sure.
Hey, that was good off the top of your head. That was
Nice. Gentry, we might be in fucking trouble, dude. When we do this Mount Rushmore, he just. I mean, great poll, sure.
I'll tell you what. I've got an idea, and you guys can say yes or no, but there are, I think, a lot more people who are famous for wearing flannels than there are Jeffs that we can think of off the top of our head.
Let's do it, dude.
The 90s grunge scene, you could get them all from there.
Next week, that's what we're doing. We're doing Mount Rushmore of people that wear flannels. Next week, make sure to tune in for that. But right now, guys, make sure to like the stream. Make sure to subscribe. We're gearing up for this Super Bowl watch party. I believe that is Dog and Pony next week, so stay tuned for that. We'll be back next week, Saturday morning, same crew, same time. And make sure to watch the boys at Monday through Friday, 8 to 10. Hope everybody has a great and safe weekend. Peace out, everybody.